A reminder that the content of this video is not endorsed by the VCAA. Bonjour and welcome to video number 6 of Unpacking the VCE French exam, brought to you by the AFTV. In this video, we're going to be talking about the written exam section 3, which is the writing section. In section 3, you're going to be required to write a text that presents ideas and or information and or opinions and or arguments. You'll have a choice of 4 tasks and you must attempt one of these tasks. Each one of the tasks will be related to one of the prescribed themes and will specify a context, purpose, style of writing, so whether it's personal, imaginative, persuasive, informative, or evaluative, audience, and text type. The 4 tasks in section 3 will be different from the task in the previous section, part B of section 2, in both text type and style of writing. You'll need to write a response of 200 to 300 words, and the tasks will be phrased in English and French for a response in French. A visual text may be included in this section of the examination, and it's worth a total of 20 marks. So they're called questions 5 to 8, worth 20 marks. Specific instructions are answer one question in 200 to 300 words in French. Now, this word range is a guide. The whole response will be considered against the criteria. Responses in the wrong language will receive no credit. The criteria. Criterion 1 is the capacity to demonstrate relevance, breadth and depth of content, and relevance, depth and structure. And criterion 2 is the capacity to demonstrate accuracy, range, and appropriateness of vocabulary and grammar. So that's the accuracy, appropriateness, and cohesiveness. And these written criteria you will find in your PDF printout. Kinds of writing: personal, imaginative, persuasive, informative, and evaluative. Make sure that you are across all of these kinds of writing, and you can find some more information on this in your PDF printout. Remember, personal, it's requiring your opinion, it's subjective. Imaginative is as you would expect, imaginative, like creative writing in English. Persuasive, you're aiming to persuade someone of your point of view. And informative and evaluative, informative, you're informing, and it's an objective piece. Evaluative, you're weighing up both sides, and again, that's an objective piece. Text types for productive use. These are the text types that you can be expected to write. You need to be familiar with all of these text types and their identifiable features. And again, see the PDF or page 12 of your study design. You also need to consider the appropriate register for the text type. Audience and purpose. You need to identify your audience and ensure that you strike the correct tone. Is the purpose of your task to persuade, entertain, inform, analyze, or criticize? Make sure you have a strong plan structure. That means an introduction, body, and a conclusion. Remember to include the appropriate features of the text type. For example, does it need a title? Does it need a date? Does it need an opener? Does it need a closer? Is it a formal letter? Does it need that flowery closer, for example? Make sure you're aware of all of those features. Verbs and grammar. Things to include, things like le présent, négatif, impératif, interrogatif, passé composé imparfait, plus que parfait, futur proche, futur simple, futur antérieur, conditionnel, conditionnel passé, subjonctif. Vocabulary phrases and expressions. Have a list of key vocabulary prepared. Watch out for those faux amis, and there are some examples in the PDF. And have a list of expressions prepared as well. Try to add some appropriate idiomatic expressions suited to the register, tone, kind of writing, and context. As you're working in your textbook or in booklets, if that's what you're working with, try to make a note of key vocabulary for specific themes and key expressions, and add to those lists as you go along. Stylistic devices. Things like avant de plus the infinitive before doing, en plus participe présent by while doing, après avoir être plus the past participle after doing. Remember our faithful friends, the si clauses, si présent, futur, si imparfait conditionnel, si plus que parfait conditionnel passé. There are also some connecteurs logiques in your PDF. The instructions, it will say correct length 200 to 300 words. Make sure you have a solid structure, introduction, body, conclusion. Make sure your grammar is accurate, genders, verb agreements, and spelling. Check over your work. Other points to consider. Write neatly and clearly. If you make a mistake, cross it out and rewrite it. Don't use pencil or pale ink. Keep track of time. Practice using a dictionary before the exam. And don't translate directly from English to French. How should you prepare? Practice writing regularly in French on a variety of themes and topics. Consult the VCAR website and read the Chief Assessor reports of past exams. Some of them present samples of responses considered excellent. So it's a wonderful resource. Consult other texts and consider attending some online workshops. You can look at the AFTV website as some financial support may be available. Les astuces, the tips and tricks. Choose your question carefully. Don't just go for the shortest question. Complicated-looking topics are often really structured and thus easy to plan for. Make sure you can master all the elements required by the content, the kind of writing, and the text type. And make sure you know whether you need to be subjective or objective, for example, persuasive versus informative. And if you can't work out what style or what text type the question requires, choose another question. You have some practice questions in your PDF. Please go ahead and enjoy those practice questions. And bonne chance de la part de la FTV. Please do watch video number 7, which will be Anand giving his tips and tricks. Anand is a past student who obtained 50, a raw score of 50 for French, which is something quite extraordinary. And he has some wonderful information for you. Bonne chance de la part de la FTV. Au revoir.